Nightline, brought to you by National Mutual.
Good evening, I'm Peter Hitchener. Prime Minister Paul Keating has returned to Australia tonight after his first overseas trip as leader. Arriving in Canberra, Mr Keating declared his week-long visit to Indonesia and Papua New Guinea a success. Earlier today, in the tiny village of Kokoda, the Prime Minister kissed the ground at a monument to the 1,600 young Australians who died on the Kokoda Trail fighting the Japanese. Meanwhile, state premiers meeting in Melbourne today have threatened Mr Keating's One Nation package, saying it can only be implemented if the states get a better funding deal.
We cannot any longer tolerate a situation where we have to provide the services, but the Commonwealth constantly cuts back on the money.
They've promised a tough and united front on funding for their conference with the federal government in a fortnight. Northern California has been hit by a strong aftershock following a major earthquake this morning, which caused widespread damage and injured more than 40 people. Bob Tarlow reports.
Ferndale, California had been dressed up for a colorful street festival when the ground shook violently just after 11 a.m.
That was too scary for me.
Ferndale was closest to the epicenter, which was actually off the coast 370 kilometers north of San Francisco. There's been considerable damage in Ferndale and nearby Petrolia. Brickwork tumbling onto cars, the insides of shops and homes now piles of debris. Classic Victorian homes slid from their foundations. Police say these cars were empty and the injuries reported so far have been relatively minor with no one killed. Bob Tarlow, National 9 News, Los Angeles.
They're breathing a little easier in Queensland's Gulf Country tonight after the capture of a huge crocodile threatening a local community. After waiting patiently for 4 days, wildlife officers finally trapped the 4.9-metre or 17-foot saltwater croc last night. Estimated at between 80 and 100 years old, the rogue will spend the rest of his days at a Queensland crocodile farm. A rare chance in Melbourne tonight for art lovers to snap up a painting by renowned Australian artist Sir Russell Drysdale. From his daughter Lynn Clark's private collection, 10 works went under the hammer at the Sotheby's auction, attracting intense interest from around the country. All but one was sold. The painting Mother and Child, North Queensland, fetched the highest price, $198,000. To sport, and Adelaide City has qualified for the National Soccer League Grand Final next week after downing reigning champion South Melbourne 2-0 in tonight's preliminary final. Now taking a look at the weather, and a wet Monday coming up for Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Perth, with showers easing in Adelaide. That's all the news for now. Till I see you again, it's good night.
This has been a National 9 News presentation.